Welcome to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Andrew Bartolotta. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making an impact, empowering the good in our community and beyond. Today, we're talking about the premier interactive fire museum located in the legendary Fire Engine House #1 in Memphis, Tennessee, the Fire Museum of Memphis. Joining us to talk about the museum is their executive director, Kimberly Crafton. Kimberly, thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We're so excited to talk about the Fire Museum, but before we talk about it, give listeners an idea for your expertise in history leading to overseeing the Fire Museum of Memphis and being part of some really fantastic organizations across the Mid-South.
I have about 25, 26 years worth of experience in nonprofits. Here in the Mid-South, especially Habitat for Humanity, Girl Scouts, the Born Bloom Solomon Schechter School. So just some, kind of a variety of different organizations here in town. A friend of mine brought me to the museum when I first moved to Memphis back in the early 2000s. And he called this his museum because he was actually one of the founders that helped get it started. And he brought me in and said, "Welcome to my museum," and just really gave me the behind the scenes tour at the time. And I fell in love with it. And I've just always thought it was such a great museum and such a hidden treasure in the city. And the opportunity came to be a part of it and to become the executive director. And so I jumped at it, and thank goodness they jumped at me. And now here we are 3 years later, having a ball and teaching that fire safety and prevention to all the school kids in town.
I love that. Talk about the mission of the Fire Museum of Memphis. You mentioned, of course, fire safety and your exhibits, which include immersive experiences to help teach the community about, fire safety, the rich history of the Memphis Fire Department, and also dive into African-American firefighters exhibit and honoring our heroes.
Wow. Okay. The mission of the museum is simple. It's really two parts. The first part is, of course, the teaching of fire prevention and safety to lower the amount of life loss and property loss within the city of Memphis. The second part is to honor the men and women of the Memphis Fire Department. The fact that the department is a super progressive department and has done some amazing things over the years. We take all of that history into consideration and make sure that people understand what an amazing fire department we have here in Memphis and how lucky we are to have these men and women. That's our mission. Of course, the fun part is really the education part. Because we get to do a lot of hands-on things with the kids that way, and the visitors to the museum that way. We try not to have anything that they can't touch in the museum. So we want everything to feel like, if they want to see what a very old fire truck feels like, they can reach out and touch it. We ask them not to, but if they do, we don't say anything. And give them an idea of how far things have come since the late 1800s, early 1800s to now with firefighting, whether it was being of a steam engine being drawn by horses to what we have today with the big modern fire apparatus with, all the stuff on it, the ladders and the hoses and all the high-tech gear and everything that they have. We want the kids to be able to see that history and to feel like they can be a part of that as well. A lot of I'd say most of the exhibits here at the museum are interactive, where they can touch them and participate in them. One of the newest things that we have is a 911 dispatch center, thanks to Shelby County 911 folks. We have 2 stations where they can actually sit down, put on headphones, and they have all the screens in front of them, just like a 911 operator would have, and they can answer calls, a series of calls. And they have 3 minutes to answer as many calls as they can. And I think there's 15 total in the game. So we haven't seen anybody hit all 15 yet, but not for lack of trying, that's for sure. But they can pick, what kind of response is it? Is it fire? Is it EMS? Is it police? Is it all 3? How urgent is it? If it's a low priority or if this is, life-threatening priority. And they really get to see what those 911 operators do for a living, because they are such a vital part of fire services and police and everything else. It would be impossible to do our job if it wasn't for them answering the phones and letting us know what was going on. So it was a really neat thing to be able to open this exhibit up and have the kids be able to come in and learn what the operators do and how it works and how closely it does resemble to what they see on TV. So, it's kind of nice that for once it all kind of looks the same. And then, of course, they can go over in what we call the play area, even though they're still learning. They can drive a simulated fire engine to a fire, avoiding, people in the road and vehicles and turns and turning the horns on and the lights on and all the things a firefighter does when they're in their apparatus. And then they can work in our historical exhibit with lasers and computer monitors and simulate putting a fire out with the lasers and the monitors. They can ride in a simulated ambulance to kind of learn what it feels like to be in the back of an ambulance. That's something that a lot of kids, the first time they experience, it's a very scary thing. And so we try to make it more friendly for them so that if it ever does happen to them, they're not so scared by it. They can talk to Old Billy, which is our animatronic horse, who tells them what it was like back in his day when he was pulling the fire engines. And they can even see where the horses were held in that building in their stables. And they can see where the horses would get excited when the alarms would go off and they would kick the back wall. And actually, there's like chunks of brick missing out of the wall where the horses have kicked it over the years. And so the kids can see all that. So it really brings the actual history of that building back to life for them. To be able to hear him talk and see that and then do everything hands-on. Last year, we opened up a new exhibit called the African American Firefighter Exhibit. And it has been probably one of the most popular exhibits over the last year or so here at the museum. We had different things throughout the museum scattered here and there that talked about the original 12 firefighters that were African Americans that were stationed in White Haven at the time. And we took all of that, we pulled it together, and then we took all of the progress that the department has made over the years with African American firefighters and showcased it all. It's in one very large exhibit now. And you can see everything from the first 12, the original pioneers is what they're called, all the way through today's top firefighter who is African American, and he is Deputy Director Colin Barrett's. His turnouts are actually on display in the exhibit, along with photographs of him at fires and with command staff and things like that. So we want kids to see that, people that look just like them can be a firefighter, that, it's not all male or all female. It's a mixture of both. We have African American men and women in this exhibit. Again, Memphis is one of the most progressive fire departments in the country. And for that, we are very thankful for everything that they do. I mean, with Chief Sweat being our first female fire chief, Deputy Director Bress being in the position he's in, we feel like we have a lot to offer and showcase in this department. And so that exhibit alone really gives you the full history of African Americans within the department here in Memphis, and the strides and the things they had to overcome to get to be somebody's hero, which is what every firefighter is, regardless of what they do on the department. They're all heroes to all of us.
Absolutely. And I love that because representation does matter, and we are in a city with a majority African-American population. So be able to say, yes, a child can go in and see someone that looks just like them and see that they're a hero in their city, and be able to really learn about those that are still living among us is super important. The Fire Museum of Memphis is celebrating its 25th anniversary this year. What are some events you have planned, or ways to showcase being around for 2.5 decades?
Well, we actually opened our doors on October the 4th, 1998. And when you say it like that, it sounds so long ago, because we've been in the 2000s for quite a while. So really, we're going to kind of kick off our 25th year in October. And that way, we kind of kick it off with the first of the school year. We kick it off with kids coming back for tours and things like that. But we're doing a few events leading up to that. But we'll do a big birthday bash in October, with details to come later. We're still trying to make all the plans. But I will say this, we're going to have birthday cake one way or the other. So you got to come out for the cake, period. But I know like this year, we're going to do our first ever Easter egg hunt. We wanted to do something around holidays where firefighters' children might be without their firefighter parent at the time. So we've been trying to focus on those parents who are firefighters, and they may be working on Easter or Christmas or Halloween or whatever. And the child doesn't get to participate maybe like other kids would. And then we thought, well, if we're going to open it up to firefighters' kids, we might as well open everything up to everybody. So we do, the last couple of years, we've done a Halloween scavenger hunt that was really for all kids. It started out initially for firefighters' kids, and then it's now, any kid that comes in, we let them find different things around the museum, and they get a bag of candy at the end, just what every mother wants their child to have, a bag of candy. And then with the Easter egg hunt, we thought, well, it's spring, we need to do something a little different. So let's do an Easter egg hunt. So we'll have actually the Easter Bunny will be here at the museum. You'll be able to get your picture made with the Easter Bunny for free. You can take it home with you that day. Within probably about 5 minutes of having your picture made, it's ready to go. And then the kids will be able to go around the museum and just enjoy the museum, play like they would any other time they're here, learn as well. We love to sneak that learning in on them every once in a while. And then they'll be able to find the Easter eggs, which I will say they will have candy inside them. So parents need to be aware of allergies and things. But it'll be something fun that the kids can do.
Do you have the date and time available for that?
Saturday, April the 1st from 10 to 1. And there'll be 3 different hunts during that time. So you can buy tickets for 10, 11, or noon, and come in, and you have about an hour to go through the museum and hunt for eggs, get your picture made, that kind of thing. So
that is so much fun. And I love that you brought up the aspect of firefighters' children, because firefighters don't I mean, yes, they get some days off, but they may be working on holidays. A holiday doesn't mean that they have the time with their child, especially if they're working that day. And so that is great that you're offering that for firefighter children, but then also to open it up to the community. And you do host events, you host birthday parties, corporate events, field trips. Talk about that aspect of the Fire Museum of Memphis.
Well, we love to do field trips with the kids. We can accommodate anything from 10 kids in a field trip. We've had some small classes like that. And then we've had some that were several classes at one school up to like 150. Gets a little hairy with 150, but we figure it out one way or the other. And age is really not an issue. We've got something for everybody from kindergartners to pre-kindergartners to seniors in high school. We can find something that interests all of them, so it's good. But we have some fire prevention specialists that actually work for the fire department. They are stationed here, just like a firefighter would be stationed at a firehouse. And they are basically, we have 5 educators that are here. 2 of them are primarily here to give tours. So when kids come in with their class, they get a very detailed, but definitely not boring tour of the museum. They get to play. They get to really do all of the hands-on things, and they get to learn at the same time while they're there. And I've watched these 2 gentlemen do tours, and they are fabulous with tours. They're really, really good with the younger kids at keeping them interested because, shorter attention span. But they are wonderful with the little ones. The first, second, and third graders are especially good. But basically you come in, it's about an hour and a half to an hour 45 minutes, depending on the kids and their attention span. They come through the museum, they get to do everything. They can go in the gift shop and get a little toy or something if they want to. We also have space available upstairs where they can eat lunch if they want to bring their lunch with them, which a lot of times if we have a big group like that and we have to split it in half, we'll have half go upstairs and eat. And then we usually have some kind of little activity for them upstairs, whether it's learning about an escape plan, how to get out of their house, or something along those lines. And then they'll switch and they'll get to go do the tour. The others get to come upstairs and eat. And of course, we have the Dalmatians here at the museum. The kids love the Dalmatians. We have 3 working Dalmatians right now, Izzy, Astro, and Piper. And what they do is they have a little section over in the old firehouse number 1, and they teach the kids fire safety and prevention. She does a little program with them where she asks them questions about, the smoke detectors going off in your house. What does it sound like? And granted, all 3 Dalmatians are deaf, so they don't hear the kids being really loud. They don't hear all the noise and stuff, so they can really concentrate really well. But she has these little buttons that they push, and the button will sound like a smoke alarm going off. And so the kids can see the dog, push the button, and then hear the smoke alarm going off. And it's a good way for them to learn what that sound means. And she goes through the whole, getting out, staying out. Do you go back in and get your favorite bone? And she has a little button that says no, different things like that. But the kids just really love the dogs, and they love the ideas that the dogs can't hear and that they can teach like that. And of course, the dogs adore the children. All they want to do is play with the kids. They like work, no, play with the children. So we do have that that the kids really love. And she's here during the week, Monday through Friday from 8 till about 1:30, something like that. And then she's here also for birthday parties on the weekends. Parents can pay an additional fee and have her come be a part of the birthday party with one of the dogs. And the birthday parties, we have them on Saturdays and Sundays. We have 3 times each day, starting at 10 that we do birthday parties. It starts out basically for 20 kids, people, and then it goes up from there. And we do have a large banquet room. So if you want to do a really large birthday party, we can accommodate that with no problem. We have a retired Memphis firefighter that oversees our birthday parties, and he does the tours with the kids and the families. And he wears his turnouts, and they just have a ball. I have yet to have a parent tell me something went bad with a birthday party, because the kids have so much fun, and they get to have cake and they get to open presents. And, the birthday boy or girl is treated as kind of the head firefighter for the day. And, it's really a very special event that they get to have for their birthday. So, and then, like I said, we have the banquet room, which is a large banquet room. It holds around 200 people when it's fully occupied. So you can do a small wedding or a retirement party. We have a lot of city entities that come in and do training classes here, just because it's an easy walk from City Hall or from Shelby County to get here. So they come over, use the banquet room. We allow you to bring in your own caterer, so we don't say you have to use this particular caterer. So you can bring in food. If you do after hour parties, we do allow alcohol, but you have to have a licensed bartender. So that's always kind of a question everybody asks. But the cost for the room really is not as bad as some venues that are the same size. It's anywhere, depending on when you're having the event, from $500 to $1,800. So $1,800 is on a weekend at night, where you're going to have a lot of people, and we have to have, extra personnel here and security. 500 would be something during the week. If you were doing like a meeting or training during the week, we do it that way. So.
That's great. You really have a breadth of options for those that want to support the Fire Museum of Memphis and be a part of it, bringing field trips, younger children, to having corporate, leadership events and luncheons and whatnot. I think that's fantastic, and in a great way to support y'all is to host your event at the Fire Museum. Where is the Fire Museum located? We did mention downtown Memphis, so give us sort of like cross streets, and then where people can go online to learn more about the Fire Museum and support your efforts.
Okay. Our address is 118 Adams Avenue. We are on Adams. We basically are halfway between Main and 2nd Avenue. So right there, right across from 100 North Main. Everybody knows that. That's that big tall building downtown. We're right there. So we're right near City Hall, the plaza that's out in front of City Hall, Shelby County offices and everything, that little area right there, close to the Renaissance Center now that it's back open again. So that's kind of where we are. There's a lot of parking right around us, different parking garages that are very safe and within, half a block walk from us.
Great. And where can people go to learn more about the Fire Museum of Memphis as far as website?
Our website is firemuseum.com, real easy. And our hours are Monday through Saturday from 9 to 4:30. And then we are closed on Sunday, except for private parties and birthdays.
Awesome. Kimberly, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing more about the Fire Museum of Memphis.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.